Secret Agent Wizard Boy and the International Crime Syndicate is somehow channeling the energy of both the original Deus Ex and Goat Simulator at the same time and in the best way possible. If that sentence hasn't sold you on Secret Agent Wizard Boy, let's take the rest of the video to go over the Immersive Sim elements wrapped up in a silly, goofy package that looks like those Harry Potter games we played on PC back in a more innocent time. Hello and welcome to the next episode of The Silly Beard Man, who may or may not actually be the cat pictured in these videos, tells you about a new immersive sim. I hope you're all doing well, because I certainly have, as I haven't laughed this much at a video game since the previously mentioned Goat Simulator. Let me tell you about Secret Agent Wizard Boy. Secret Agent Wizard Boy and the International Crime Syndicate, which is a mouthful, so we're gonna shorten that down to SAWB, S-A-W-B, is a project made by the brothers Szymanski, with John Ducky Szymanski of Kyle is Famous and My Friendly Neighborhood fame being billed first, followed by Evan, who is also credited on those two, and produced by David Szymanski, creator of Dusk, Iron Lung, Squirrel Stapler, and a whole lot of other things. I still haven't gotten around to playing Butcher's Creek yet, but it's on my list. At this point, I'm at a loss as to why these three haven't made a studio called the brothers Szymanski, because when these lads get together, it's gonna be a fun game. SAWB is clearly a parody, or perhaps a pastiche, of the early Harry Potter tie-in games made by EA for the Windows computer and PlayStation 1 console, where we get these lovely images of Hagrid from. However, instead of an intensely linear experience pushing the limits of contemporary hardware to make you feel like you're living in a movie, SAWB is an extremely open-ended sandbox of a game that'll run on basically anything and expects you to do the most ridiculous, unwizardly things imaginable, because if Hatsune Miku had let Harry use cruise missiles, we'd have been able to deal with all those dark wizards in like a book and a half. Let me tell you about my first half hour in Secret Agent Wizard Boy. I discovered that there was a big bounce pad in the middle of the courtyard, which I immediately broke my legs and died on because fall damage is determined by distance fallen, not distance relative to your starting point. I then discovered, while looking for landmines for, reasons, some small jump pads that I could pick up and move to wherever I wanted, which I used to get into an area that I'm not sure I was supposed to get to that early. On top of some health increasing potions, I also got access to Doplo, the duplicate anything spell. And I mean literally duplicate anything in the game. I later got in a fight with some kids in their silly Goblet Hat club and died. So I then figured out that duplicating everything meant duplicating potions. So I made a potion of enhanced run speed, and since I don't like how slow I moved, I made a few dozen copies and drank them all in one sitting. I was riding high on my hubris though, as I had decided to go get revenge on the Goblet Hat Club by duplicating all the furniture in their little clubhouse until it collided with each other, until it all caught on fire and killed everyone in the building. Then, running at about 200 miles per hour, I bought a strange looking potion off some kid in the hallway that deleted my bones, so I ran around like a floppy maniac until I got scrunched and proceeded to ragdoll all around the bouncy pad, laughing like a maniac as my player character still moved too fast for me to control. I then realized that I could duplicate spell power potions too, and what was collecting magical shapes compared to amassing enough power to kill the sun? I drank a reasonable amount of spell power potions and then tried it out on a clone of a person I had accidentally made in the hallway. My simple push spell, Prodify, no longer nearly pushed buttons, but instead straight up exploded the clone, the original person, myself, and everything in the hallway. I learned from my mistake, and this time after drinking only 10 spell power potions, I tried it out on something outside of the hallway while I was safely inside of it and far away. It hit some rando so hard it not only exploded everyone out in the courtyard, but also exploded with enough force to flip over the giant bouncy pad that I broke my legs on earlier, which bounced against the floor and started flying everywhere and killed everyone near the courtyard. Finally, I realized I could not only duplicate biscuits for infinite money, but also the suits of armor, which spawned in with a bunch of biscuits inside of them when you hit them. I duplicated all the suits of armor, thinking I was slick, only to forget that my Prodify spell now hit with the force of a Tomahawk missile, so casting it in a living room-sized area the shop was in was a very bad idea. It was at this point that I ran out of lives and got a game over. This is just a demo, by the way. You can download and experience true wizarding chaos for yourself right now for free. Links in the description. Now, one more thing that we're gonna take it over to the webcam before we get going. Now, before we get into the main game, there's something I want to shill for. As some of you know, I was up until recently rocking that long hair and beard combo, but then I chopped it all off early last month, going from, and I'm quoting from the comments here, Like a wizard, I'd find fireballing pigeons in Central Park to a more clean cut. This is not merely an aesthetic choice, as I've been lucky enough to fall into a line of work where there's no dress code, and thanks to that, I was able to donate my second full head of hair to Wigs for Kids. Now, based on my old man just now starting to get a little gray in his mid-50s, and how long it takes for me to grow my hair out, I've got about 10 more full wigs in me, but that's not nearly enough to help every kid in need. So I'd like to ask you all to please consider donating your hair to Wigs for Kids the next time you go to get it cut. All they ask of you is 12 inches of healthy, non-chemically treated hair, like no dyes or anything. You can just have a ponytail chopped off, or you can do as I do, where they braid it all up like all the way up to like your temple to get as much hair as possible. Something so simple that we forget about having it, like a full head of hair on your head when you're a kid, is something that you can do to make a kid who's probably already having a really rough time of things a whole lot less miserable. And the donation process is one of the easiest I've ever done. Like, it costs less than $5 to get your hair shipped to basically from anywhere in the country. If you're interested, I'll leave a link down in the description to the Wigs for Kids donation form, and for anyone else who isn't in a position to donate or wants to help in another way, I'm gonna do that thingy where YouTube will set up a donation link for Wigs for Kids, since they do make the wigs themselves out of your hair and they need money to help pay for that service. Thank you all so much for hearing me out. Now let's get a little silly with our magic. Welcome to the start of the full game. You have one goal. Collect the mysterious shapes to open that weird door. The shapes are hidden and not so hidden across the castle, and so long as you get the shape, it's fair game. The only real rule is that you have to physically carry the shapes to the door in the dungeons yourself to slot them into the keyholes, but beyond that, any means of direct or indirect violence, trickery, politeness, or rudeness is permissible. There's a closet full of landmines over by one of the potion brewing cauldrons, by the way, so have fun. But you don't need to do that. There are also jump pads, and as we previously established, fall damage is from total height fallen, not height relative to your starting point. I laughed like a maniac at this for much longer than I'm comfortable admitting. The only real constraints you have are that the castle is covered with security cameras, which if they catch you harming another denizen of the castle, will aggro everyone in the immediate area to attack you. And the other type of camera that has a rocket attached to it, which go off if you walk through a tripwire. Both of these obstacles can be removed though, with enough violence. The castle is pretty big. Not like open world collectathon quadruple A slap game big, but big as in there's a lot of areas to poke around and it's easy to get lost if you aren't paying attention to where you're going. There's the courtyard, the clock tower above it, and the secret laboratory, the main hallways, the library, the dungeons, the upper floor where the goblet heads hang out, and a lot of stuff in between like the secret sewers. Speaking of secrets, there are a lot inside of this castle. It's not going to be as easy as casting an illumination spell on some random gargoyle, but basically every area has a bunch of secret rooms and stuff like the way to open the clock tower, which I personally only found out about because Ducky gave me a hint during the time I streamed this game. Figuring out the secrets, or at the very least how to get into basic areas, is how you're gonna find your spells, but also how you find generally cool stuff like the propeller hat, which is not only the highest of fashion, but also lowers your gravity. There's all sorts of stuff that aren't necessarily power-up based secrets, but just silly little things to find. This is a Ducky Shemansky game, meaning that there are all sorts of rubber ducks to be found around the game. There's also all sorts of silly little things like a frog using a computer, or a lone propeller hat kid hiding in terror inside of the Goblet Hat Lounge. You just gotta be willing to look for stuff. Now, your bread and butter for all experimentation and puzzle solving are your spells. You get your first spell, Prodify, right in the corner you spawn in. It basically just pushes buttons, for now. We'll talk about potions in the next section. Prodify, as is, can be used for combat, albeit not very well, and you're better off using other means of incredible violence. You've got other spells too, like Perambulate, which moves objects around like the physics gun in Gary's mod, Bigify to enlarge things and also enhance the effect of things, and Doplo for making sure that you never run out of finite items and for generally having bad ideas. There's others, but that's what you're going to be using the most of. Some of the most effective tools in the castle are the not so magical things that are laying around, like grenades, these hot potatoes that somebody just stuffed a bomb into a spud, or the tow missiles they've just got laying around the castle. You know, just normal wizarding stuff for a normal wizarding school. Thrown objects are often far more effective at removing obstacles, as most of them are explosive by default, and it only counts as an attack if you directly hit someone with something. And even then, the missiles can be thrown from far enough away that the camera watching the victim won't be able to see who launched the thing. Then we've got those portable bounce pads I was talking about earlier, which on top of being great for getting across spots that you normally can't get to, also greatly enhance your jumping abilities while you're holding one. And then there are the landmines. Landmines are great for when a door no longer needs to be a door and you don't have a key. Actually, any explosive item in the game is great. While playing the game, I found out that there is only one door that I needed a key for, and the rest could be blown up with enough violets. Did you know that the effect of something increases when you make it larger with a spell? Try it on the bounce pads. Now, since I know someone's gonna ask regardless of whatever I decide to title this video, yes, Secret Agent Wizard Boy is totally an immersive sim. The devs played Deus Ex to get a feel for it, and during the stream when we ran into an issue with the music just kind of popping out, I just put on the Deus Ex OST in the background and it fit perfectly. SAWB does a very good job of being just sandboxy enough to allow the kind of player freedom to make some great emerging gameplay while still having enough form to be more than just a sandbox game. The only thing that matters is that you find those shapes. Actually, scratch that. The only thing that matters is that you find the best way possible to break this game. You are given a week to infiltrate the secret door, and every time you die, a day advances. What happens when you get to the end of the week? Oh no, your cover's blown. I guess we'll have to re-infiltrate you. Seriously, it's just a bunch of random silly lines and then the week starts over. Sometimes they clone you, sometimes you infiltrate the castle again. All that matters is that you keep all your spells you found so far from the last go round, and all the mysterious shapes are put back into their original homes. The only thing you lose on death are enhancements to your spell power, and that's to keep you from soft locking yourself. The only safety rails present in this game are countermeasures against soft and hard locks. The spell power resets are because you can accidentally enhance your spell power too much and be unable to use Prodify to activate switches because you hit them so hard it toggles the switch multiple times and closes the door you're trying to open. The magical shapes are indestructible and made in a way that they can't clip out of the map, and most fires will eventually go out. Your spells should not be seen as tools to complete objectives, but as tools to exploit the hell out of the game's systems. You are expected to do ridiculous stuff. There are acceleration and bounce pads on the top of the castle, and even a special biscuit for you to collect way up at the very top of the clock tower where the bouncy pads as is cannot possibly take you, and where landing would be even more than enough force to kill you even if you had the propeller pad and the fall damage reduction boots. Hell, you are expected to find your way out of bounds in Secret Agent Wizard Boy. You are allowed and expected to duplicate items en masse for maximum chaos. A gameplay element I didn't talk about in the basic gameplay section is the potion brewing system, and that's because it is the most delightfully in-simmy breakable system there is. Potions have a simple rule set. Item plus gimbal root equals potion. Not all potions are good. Not all potions are good for you. Some potions are very good for you. There are certain items hidden in the game that turn a potion into an enhanced potion. For instance, adding a crystal ball to a potion containing an apple and gimbal root creates an enhanced potion of health that permanently increases your HP cap, which otherwise is a very, very small amount of health, and there are only a small handful of HP increasing briefcases in the map. There is no limit to your total HP, even though your health bar will start to get a little weird, meaning you are only limited by your resources. The same thing goes for spell power potions and speed enhancing potions. Better yet, there's a rare special version of gimbal root that will add 20 potions to your normal yield, meaning that if you add your ingredient of choice plus a crystal ball and this fancy blue gimbal root to a cauldron, you get 21 enhanced potions of whatever you want. Do you have any idea how many problems you can solve and then cause with 21 enhanced potions of spell power? I do. So now you're armed with the knowledge that potion brewing can be used to easily break the game. But what about your spells? Well, there's the obvious stuff, like once you enhance your Prodify spell, you no longer need to look for keys or care about people witnessing their murders, because all the witnesses are going to be removed from this plane of existence, wherever you cast anything. Prodify can be used to remotely detonate explosives that are a little too spicy to be merely thrown as well. Then there's moving things around with perambulate, like stacking boxes or moving an explosive barrel into a place that it will cause the most problems, but that's baby stuff. Dop low is where things get interesting. Remember how we were limited on our potion making ability by how many reagents we had? Those crystal balls are expensive, and I don't think there's any way to spawn more blue gimbal root. Well, what if we just bought one crystal ball and duplicated it a bunch of times so we never have to pay for another? Let's do that with all the blue gimbal root too. Using Dop low does cost biscuits, the in-game money, but compared to how much those crystal balls cost, it's a bargain. Heck, Dop low is an infinite money glitch too. While you can duplicate anything, including biscuits, the cost of using this spell makes it a net zero because higher level spells like Doplo and Bigify do cost biscuits to cast. However, if you duplicate an object that contains multiple biscuits, like a suit of armor or that one chest above the spell classroom that's got like 100 biscuits in it, you've effectively solved money. The economy is somebody else's problem right now. Also, remember those rockets? Let's duplicate those too. But what if I wanted more chaos with my now infinite supply of money and anti-material weaponry? Well, that's where Bigify comes in. You see, Bigify not only enlarges things, but increases the effects too. There's also Minify, which does the opposite, but that's lame. Is the explosive effects of your shoulder-mounted rocket just not enough for you? Well, cast Bigify on that sucker a couple times and now you've got your very own cruise missile. Remember though, you can make something so large that the act of throwing it makes it collide with your player model, and missiles explode on impact. Bigify also works on potions, but there's an upper limit to that, as at a certain point they're going to be too large for you to pick up and drink, so be careful. And then there is Flambelio. Flambelio sets whatever you point at it on fire, and basically everything in this castle is flammable. Fire is great because it's a means of indirectly attacking people when you aren't strong enough to take them and handle the consequences. Fire is great for, well, burning things. Flambelio is actually an area of effect spell, starting at where a projectile would hit if there was one, and the area of effect increases with spell power upgrades. Be very, very careful. Oh, yeah, that's okay, we have reset spell power. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna take a... Oh yeah, I should do this. Oh my god, the stuff in this... Oh. 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 Fucking hell. I've set this shit on fire. How far back did the fire go? How are you still alive? I put a landmine out on you. Everyone but the guy we intended to kill is dead. Holy shit.
I get crunched. I end up having to spend the rest of the week.
What's up? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no! Oh no! I started the frenzied flame ending! Oh no! Oh no, I'm on fire. I deserve this. And you know what the most insane thing about all of this is? You can theoretically complete the game's base objective without casting a single spell. With the tools laying around and enough determination, you can get to just about all the shapes, and aside from maybe needing to unbar the gate to the dungeons using Prodify once, which you might be able to trigger in another way, I don't think a single spell is needed to be cast in order to get any of the shape. That is nuts amount of creativity. Now, I may as well tell you what you're gonna figure out by just clicking over to the Steam page. This just released into early access. Hell, my stream I did of the game so far helped the team crush a few bugs I imsimmed a little too hard and discovered, and also found some hard caps on things that weren't supposed to be there. Based on the most recent patch notes though, everything I found's already been fixed, so there's no point in getting into specifics. As I played, which was with a lot of goofing around and playing the game to break it instead of completing the objective, it took me a smidge under 4 hours so far. I found a lot of secrets, but I know there's a lot more to be found. I didn't even find the Minify spell that can reverse Bigify, or make something like comically small. I only completed the main objective once, and that was because I was too busy doing enough potion making to fight the sun to really care about it. I didn't even figure out what was behind the big old vault door. Heck, you can get a whole new spell just by completing the game, and that's even more opportunity for chaos. As it stands, based on the little letter you get at the end of the game, by the way, kind of spoilers, but but there's not much story going on here, and that's not the main focus anyway. This is merely the first level, and while the letter isn't concrete about how much they're going to add, the brothers Szymanski seem excited to add more stuff, and according to the early access blurb on the store page, they seem to want to expand the castle even more and maybe add in some new systems. This is also a Szymanski game we're talking about here, not some randos that dropped a promising thing. I don't think that worrying about this potentially being vaporware is a good idea at all. These are guys that have finished plenty of games before, including some early access, I believe. No problem. Oh, by the way, there's multiplayer. I didn't do any of it because while I did buy a copy for my wife who loved the demo, she hasn't had a chance to experience the game on her own yet, and I don't want to ruin things for her by basically steamrolling the whole experience with my advanced knowledge of the game's systems. Her work keeps her busy, and her usual go-to after a hard day is Binding of Isaac, which she is a lot better than I am at that game. I've seen enough of the multiplayer to know that it creates a whole new level of the good kind of jank and potential exploitation of systems, with a whole group of secret agents running amok in the castle. I've said in the past that anything can be fun with friends because you're doing it with friends, but this is something that is already a good time and can be genuinely enhanced by a group of people coming together to cause as much chaos as possible. My final thoughts on Secret Agent Wizard Boy and the International Crime Syndicate is that it's a great little immersive sim and the most I've laughed at anything in a long time. At MSRP is at $10, but right now for the next week it's on an introductory sale for $8, and at either price it's a bargain. I'm excited to see what becomes of this game in the future, and I am very happy that I found it when I did. So I've got a lot of other stuff I need to get around to for the rest of this month, and not all of it is stuff you're gonna see right away, but there are some things that you know you should be expecting. I've also been really enjoying these little streams I'm doing over on the Purple Place, and they're a great way to chat with all of you, and also a good way to get footage for videos that it would otherwise be like pulling teeth to get through. Seriously, thank you to everyone who came by a couple weeks ago, because I do not think I could have gotten through all of Alien's Colonial Marines on the original hardware without your support. Streams are presently Wednesdays and Fridays in the afternoon stateside and just after work in Europe. Come on by. Now that'll do it for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'd like to ask you to kindly do all the algo things and please consider Wigs for Kids the next time you go get a haircut. Now let's sign off. Remember that no matter what you do, be it brewing potions, drawing, or composing MIDI music, what you do should never be considered content. It is art. Content is a word that's been twisted into meaning a means to grind up all your skills, aspirations, and passion into a gray sludge that's meant for nothing more than to make a line go up. Your art in no way deserves that. Art is inalienably a reflection of its creator through the very act of making it, and in no way do you deserve that. So get out there and fight for your art by fighting against the contentification of everything. You're worth it. Stay saucy, everyone.
Oh. I wonder what could be about to happen. Oh, it's my snack time. Got the meal preps. Ooh. What could I be waiting for? You're not doing anything saucy. Did I start this like at the top of the minute? You've been pretty well behaved. Haven't been screaming for the snacks. Any second now. I can like see how many seconds it's been in the video timer. And yeah, I think I got it right at the top of the minute. Oh. Why are you airplane ears? It's snack time. I really should change up this setup a bit because he just sits here and waits for his food when he's just feeling lazy. Yeah, I should probably change this up. Maybe put it by the PlayStation or something.